So next up will be our speaker, and our speaker today is Pamela Hawley. And after co-founding Volunteer Match, which you might know is one of the premier websites for matching volunteers with volunteer opportunities, she went on to found UniversalGiving, which is an award-winning nonprofit that allows people to donate and volunteer to vetted, top-performing organizations all over the world. And she's been the recipient of a Jefferson Award, which is basically the Nobel Prize for community service. And today she's going to be talking to us about how to turn an event in your life into your story and the calling of your life. So everyone, please welcome Pamela.
Good morning, everyone. Let me get on the right side here. There we go. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here today. It's a joy to be here with your group. I love your motto. What a wonderful thing to think about every morning when we wake up and throughout our day. So today I'd like to share with you a little bit about a story that you could have in your life. It could be an incident, event, something that happens to you that actually can turn into your life calling. So this essence of story is we're all here on this world for some reason. There's some purpose for it. Every moment, every second, and of course for many of us, we're just living in eternity, right? So it's not even a second or a minute or an hour, but there is a reason you're here. And I strongly believe that reason is to express your unique talents and your love and your joy in some very, very unique way that is not replicable by anyone else on this world. So for me, my story has become about social entrepreneurship. Peter Samuelson, he's a film producer and on our board, amazing man, said that we need to make a difference in strategic, business-like way with our communities. For me, that's social entrepreneurship. It's running nonprofits with business principles. It's making a strong impact in our world, not just doing good, but being very thoughtful about impact. So that's very much about my story, but I want to go back, and I even want to embarrass myself a little bit and share with you a little bit about how my story started early on, because I think life is very real. Things there's things of excellence in our life, there's things of joy, there's things that are funny, and we should be very holistic in how we talk about our life stories. So for me, my life was very idyllic. There I am with my Oma. She was actually the first woman at Juilliard. I'll tell you a little story to inspire you. It inspires me all the time. Her first name was Frances. She got into Juilliard and she showed up there, and she got to the front of the entryway of Juilliard, and they said, "Oh no, we don't accept women here. We thought you were Frances with an I." And so she ran up the stairs and she auditioned for Barrere, one of the top flute male teachers at the time. He said, "You tell them immediately you have a scholarship here." So she got her scholarship. And she tried out 35 times for the NBC Symphony Orchestra. There was no women in there at the time. And the 35th time, they accepted her as a substitute for one time. So anytime I think that something's too tough for me or something's been too hard, I think, have you tried that 35 times? Have you tried it for 35 years straight? Then you can maybe complain a little bit, Pamela. So I share that with you because my family legacy, I'm so honored by. My grandmother was 97, taught flute at Stanford until 3 months before she passed at the age of 97. We are limitless. We are ageless. There is nothing that can hold you back. There is no age, anything like that can hold you back. You are not defined by that. My grandmother taught me that. So here I am in Half Moon Bay, my beautiful sister who got all the blonde looks. I have the chipmunk cheeks and the buck teeth, and I could not close my mouth growing up. So here I am again, creativity, very important. Puka shells, neck gear, pumpkin. My point is that I'm very proud of this when I was growing up. I just felt very special. Being special can mean something very creative and very different for you. But everything was idyllic. My mom baked chocolate chip cookies. My parents are best friends with a spark. We have Sunday night dinners to this day. But I had a very pivotal moment happen to me when I was 12. And it changed my entire life. And this is the story that I'm talking about in your life. You could have something happen to you. You can walk by it, or you can let it change the whole course of your life. So we were in a cruise ship in Mexico. We were in Mazatlan. Very nice cruise ship, tourist vacation. And as we were walking around the marketplace, I just peered down a cul-de-sac and I looked down it. And I just saw all of these begging, starving children. Maimed, some didn't have legs, just hands out. That did not fit with the life I knew. That did not fit. I said to my dad immediately, why didn't you tell me about this? And he said, honey, you're only 12. What do you do as a parent? When do you tell your child about the things that are happening across the world? It didn't matter to me. At that point, I was relentless. I went and volunteered in the earthquake crisis in El Salvador, went and volunteered in the victims of Pol Pot's regime. I went all over the world. And that's what I'm asking you to do, is that there are things that we can walk by and just say, I can't handle it, too tough. Or you can dig into it. So for me, that was unacceptable. I just remember those words in my head. It's just unacceptable. It just hit me so hard. And I just could not let it go. I could not live without addressing it in some way. So from there, I went to Guatemala. And there we were delicing children's hair. They hadn't had shampoo. But on the way there, I saw all these men laid out on the ground, and I couldn't figure out why. They had handkerchiefs on their face. They were laid off from the shoe factory. They were getting high on glue because they felt so hopeless. So sometimes I'm on my way to my story to help delice the kids, but on your way you're going to see another story of what you could help too. I went to India. Very, very, very tough. 4 hours outside of Bangalore, in this very, very, very small village where they've never seen anyone else other than their own kid. If you had a girl child, they were taken care of on the stove. Cambodia. Victims of Pol Pot's regime. If you were smart, if they thought you were smart, if you had glasses, you were immediately considered smart, your glasses were smashed. They had a concept called familyism. In that concept of familyism, they took the small children, they gave them drugs, they turned them against their parents, and they asked them to kill their parents, and that's what the kids did. We barely even talk about it because it's so tough to even understand that concept of familyism. So I went there and I said, gosh, your land is so beautiful, it's so green. And they said, yes, that's because of all the skulls and the bodies buried in the ground. So that led to a life vision of service for me. I could not sit by and just see that had happened. So I went one-on-one listening, helping others, and then did global connections all over the world. And that led to UniversalGiving. So if you listen to your story, if you keep going through that, you keep listening to what those needs are, it can go into something that becomes an absolute career or something that life changes for you. So for me, we connect people with quality giving and volunteer opportunities all over the world. It's the whole point is to get people, if you see something negative like that, you can go and give and you can volunteer, but we want to make sure it's with quality, trusted organizations. So our vision is to create this world where giving and volunteering is a natural part of everyday life. I look at that and I think, I want people to think about it. Like if you think about going to Chipotle all the time, I want you to think about giving all the time. If you have enough money to pay an electricity bill, you have enough money to go say hello to a homeless person. It's not only about money. Being a giver is just acknowledging a homeless person on the street, saying hello to them. They're starving for love, and I sincerely believe if you don't have love, I think you can die. So here's what you can do on UniversalGiving. You can volunteer, you can give all over the world. You can give a gift and a donation. This is actually one of our most popular, sponsored chimpanzee. Take care of an animal in another part of the world. And you can volunteer with vetted organizations. Help elephants in Thailand. A lot of them have been beaten there, or their tusks have been taken. They've been maimed, so there's so many different ways that you can help all across the world. Why we're unique is give 100%. I don't want to take a cut in your donation. Just 100% goes direct to the cause. And that's just about that purity. I love that word purity. What can we make that's pure in our lives and just make it pure, that it's just pure giving? The second is that all organizations are vetted by our quality model. It's a venture capitalist-based quality model. It's not just overhead, it's not just finance. It's also what venture capitalists look at, which is they say, who's the management team? Who are the people? So that we know our NGO partners personally. We have 2 services of giving and volunteering. We're in 100 countries all over the world, and we do generate revenue. And how we do that is UniversalGiving Corporate. We go into companies, help their employees give and volunteer. We vet their NGOs, we disperse the funds, and they pay us to do that. So this is what we've done thus far. We've matched 20,000 volunteers, more than $31 million worth of volunteer hours all over the world, and then we've dispersed more than $10 million as well, and for companies all over the world. Those are some of our clients. And all that looks great, right? It looks like I just went from volunteering and just went and did all that all over the world. But along the way, I had a midlife crisis at age 25. Yes, it happens. It doesn't happen at a certain age. It happens at any age. I I actually went through it at the same time as my dad. I was 25 and he was 55, so we actually kind of bonded over that. He left his job and so did I. So, this is what happened to me. It's not a clear shot. It's not just like you find your calling and then I left 4 jobs in 4 years. So I'm Duke, I'm cum laude, I got a scholarship for my master's. My friends are an MBA, doctor, lawyer. I did not have that check. I was really down. And I'm not a kind of depressed person, and I was circumstantially depressed. It was very, very difficult for me. So I left 4 jobs in 4 years, was out of work for a year. I worked as an executive assistant unpaid because the guy told me I didn't deserve to be paid. I worked as a step aerobics instructor, counselor, recovering alcoholics in Skid Row and I was in LA. I was fired as a waitress. Oh gosh, I love service and being a waitress, because I love the sense of serving and connecting with people. And in fact, I encourage you, when you're at restaurants, why do we let people serve and not get to know their name? Why do we do that? Nameless people. Still, my family and my friends are getting used to it, but I'm like, hi, what's your name? Oh, okay, it's Janaya. Great, Janaya. I'm Pamela. I introduce everyone at the table. It's not easy to do things like that. People think you're weird, but at the end of the day, I don't want someone nameless serving me. Why? So, you know, if you don't have money, if you don't have time to volunteer, it doesn't matter. Most of us go to restaurants, you could ask people's names. You could ask how they are. You could make them a part of your dining experience. There are so many ways to give that are not only low cost, but no cost. So anyways, I got fired because I was so nervous. My hand shook when the plates got to the table that sometimes they didn't get there, or if they did, the food sloshed. I just share with you that like some people have a talent, like of being able to like go to the moon, but their hands might shake when they go to the table. So mine did. In fact, to this day, I bet they still would. I haven't conquered that fear. But ironically, the person who invited me here knows that I perform improv. So I can perform improv, but I can't serve plates. So there you go. So I started a business that didn't get off the ground. I got turned down by a PR firm because I wasn't qualified. So I went and stole an internship, awful, from another student, was there 2 weeks, and then got the job. Crazy. And then took 6 personality tests to figure out what I wanted to do. They all conflicted. So at the time, and this is why I share this with you, I just talked to someone who's being involved in a new business, a new startup here that's working on ocular areas for us and vision. And just imagine at the time, if you didn't have an industry, there was no social entrepreneurship, there was no fit. There was it social philanthropy, social entrepreneurship, entrepreneurial philanthropy. There were no classes, master's degree, books on social entrepreneurship. There were 1 to 2 early leaders, and all my friends were on track to be lawyers, doctors, and MBA. There was no track for Pamela Hawley. I was so scared. So, how do you have strength in those tough times? What do you do if you don't even have an industry? You know, when I finally found out that I wanted to be a social entrepreneur, Peter Samuelson, who you saw the quote from, said, I don't know if it's entrepreneurial philanthropy or social entrepreneurship, but it's running nonprofits with effective principles. And I called my dad, and I ran to the payphone. Yes, there was no cell phones. I ran to the payphone. I said, Dad, I know what I want to do. He's like, oh gosh, this is such great news, Pamela. Thank you so much. You know, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to be a social entrepreneur. He's like, okay, how do you get paid? Okay, bye, Dad. Go back to your story. When you go through strength and tough times, call your family first. Tell them that you know what you're doing, or sort of, right? Go back to your story. Go back to your values. And watch industry innovation. So you always got to go back to that story. Why are you doing this? Why are you in the ocular industry? Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you a scientist? So for me, I went back to my cruise ship, and now I hold that in my head all the time. Go back to my story. This is what planted me. This is why I'm doing this. Go back to my values. When I graduated from Duke, my dad told me, I don't care what you do, but find something you absolutely love and do it with excellence. I love that. That is such a gift that my dad gave me. Go find something to do and do it with excellence. And I think we can take that every step of the day, that we do that. There he is. There's my dad. And then watch industry innovation. Boy, once I saw the web hit, I was like, not that I wasn't volunteering anymore, but I was like, wow. Then we can match and get, you know, that's getting thousands of people involved all over the world. How exciting, right? So if you watch the industry, is it Snapchat for you? What is it? Like, what's going to viral what you're doing? So strength in tough times. Be relentless to find and do what you love to do. Be relentless, and that happens at any stage of life. I'm on to my next venture. I'm still doing universal giving, but I'm now into peace giving. And I got certificates in mediation. I'm a mediator in San Francisco. I'm doing international mediations. So for me, my passions are universal giving and improv and mediation and conflict resolution and peace building. Never stop. You're just constantly saying, what is it I'm supposed to be doing in this world? And how can I do it with excellence? This affects everything you do, every person you meet, every interaction, because when you are living something you love to do, your joy just comes out. Doesn't matter if you're extrovert, introvert, or ambivert, your joy will shine because you are doing something you love to do and feel you're called to do on this earth. So your personal story also, it's not just about you, it allows you to help others and pull them up in the journey along the way. How are you going to pull them up? How are you going to help someone else along the way? This isn't just about your life calling. So the most important thing in life is gratitude. Aside from love. Of course, love too. Love and truth. Well, there's a lot of important things in life. Okay. So, but I think that gratitude, when you talk about gratitude, you are emphasizing things that are truthful and things that are loving. When you're grateful for things, you're grateful for things that are true and grateful for things that embody some type of love. And that's why I say it's the most important thing, because when you're grateful for something, it's because it's true. I'm grateful for this person. It's true. It's right in front of me. And I love something about them. And that's why I think gratitude is so important, that we keep that very joyful gratitude mindset in everything that we do. So, be grateful if you have choices of where to work, where to live, what to eat. If you have a pet, maybe a favorite llama or an iguana or a cat or a dog or a spider, or people you admire, friends and family, a community be involved in, which is so important you all hear. We overlook these things. We gotta say, okay, on to the next thing. But we gotta reemphasize all these good things we have in our life. But then we say, how can I be grateful if my work didn't save on my computer? Oh my gosh, my home needs repairs. I missed my favorite TV show. I slept 3 hours this week. The coffee shop is closed. My favorite coffee is out. We say, oh my gosh, this doesn't work. Or my cell phone screen is cracked. Well, they're not worrying about that in Uganda. So we worry about all these things, and we say, you know, how can I be grateful if the Girl Scouts keep asking me for cookies and I've already bought 12 boxes? Those challenges are luxury troubles. If there's anything I want you to remember coming out of it, it is a luxury trouble. That is not a challenge. So, back to your life. Go back to that story. Go back to that Mexico incident or whatever it is. Marry it with your calling of universal giving. And then, what I wish for you is that you follow and you find that story and you live your spark. That's what I wish for you, that you live that spark and that joy of that kindness, that love, that gratitude of really finding something that you love to do and living it with joy and giving it to others. So thank you so much for having me in your community today. I wish that you find your story and find your spark. Thank you.
Thank you.